Stephanie Zima, and I am a Stephen minister here at the church. And anyone who does not know what a Stephen minister is, we are like the after people, like after divorce, after grief, after any kind of challenge we have in life. So we walk alongside anybody who needs something in their life. So I am also a certified transformation and wellness coach, and I'm originally from Germany. And I grew up in a foster family. So my family was actually the ones who got everybody into our family. And this environment, it was really hard at times being a kid growing up with everybody changing all the time. I have to admit it was really hard. But at the same time, it really equipped me with the skills to adapt and to pivot very, very fast. And I had to adjust to new people. There was always somebody new at the dinner table. There was always someone else having a crisis. There was always, we were like 12 people at the dinner table all the time. It was, and it was always every 4 to 6 weeks, someone else. So at that time growing up, I thought it was really hard, right? But now looking back, I'm like, this was really a blessing, the whole thing, because all those skills that I acquired at that time, I can really need in this world today, okay? So the reason why I stand here is I have all of that experience, plus my Stephen ministry training, and my constant, persistent love of helping people. It's just I want to bridge the gap between those guys over there and then the parents. And before we really get into this is not blaming anyone. This is not blaming the children. That's not blaming the parents. I am nowhere better than anybody else sitting here or not sitting here, right? I am just in the trenches with everybody because we just don't know. We can do the best we can, And some people have some tools, and that's what we do. We share what we know, right? And there we go. Okay. So, since we are there you go. There's my slide about the shame, right? So, one more thing. No judgment, no blame, no nothing. I already talked about this. We are not needing to be in that box of shame, right? Okay. So, since we all have a 30-second attention span, here we go. Pick something out of the box. It's going to be so fun. It's just something to fidget around because, and this is, guys, when we deal with our children, we have to be aware that in times of social media, the reels, the shorts, the TikToks, all of these things, the brains are being developed in 30-second increments. So when you try to talk for 90 minutes, like I'm supposed to talk tonight for 90 minutes, they're going to be like, what? What's happening? We're not even making it through dinner, right? That's just really kind of how it is. So, those kind of things can help if you need to have conversations with somebody. You give them something, so that they can fidget around with this. Okay. So, moving on, if it works. So let's start by defining peer pressure. The peer pressure refers to influence. It's all about the influence. And by the way, guys, there's a lot of stuff on the slides, I'm aware. And some people are like, ooh, this is too much. Can you read all that? You don't have to read all that. But I put it on there because if you want to take a picture of it so you have that information for later, do that, okay? Take a picture of it, and that way you can have it. If not, it's fine. I'm not going to get it from you. Okay, so influence. It's all about influence from their peers to behave in certain ways, right? The influence is what I wanted to say. Can be in the form of encouragement, coercion, or simply the desire to fit in. And we all kind of have this, right? If you think back to your school time, how many times did you want to fit in? We think all the time, why can't they figure it out? But we all have the same thing. We're looking at social media, and we are looking at the other people, and we're like, oh, look at that person over there has this. Why do I have that? right? Peer pressure is not an age thing, really. It goes with everyone. So types of peer pressure. So there's two different types. There's one where there's direct peer pressure, where somebody completely tells you what to do. Like in this example, try the cigarette. Or I triple dog dare you to do this and this. Right? How many times did we hear that, right? And I'm always like, please don't let it be like really weird stuff. But that's basically what it is. So then we have, the indirect peer pressure, and that is where I really feel even adults are not, like adults can probably withstand the direct peer pressure, but the indirect peer pressure of keeping up with the Joneses and making sure, all of that is, we are not immune to it. And we just kind of need to remember that just a little bit when we want to have a relationship with our kids. Okay, so the negative peer pressure, there's two types. So we have negative peer pressure and we have positive peer pressure. It encourages the behavior that it's against the societal norms, right? So the negative is like the drugs, the skipping school, the participating in risky behaviors, and those kind of things. And then the positive peer pressure, right? Because when we think about it, we always think like, oh, this peer pressure, and that's just so bad. You gotta remember that peer pressure can also be positive. It promotes behavior like we want, such as velocity, right? When you think about it, all these kids are out there and they are creating positive peer pressure. All of their friends are going and learning and having, the same things. So putting them into this community service and engaging in healthy hobbies can really foster this positive peer pressure, which we also need to have. Yeah. It needed a little extra. All right, so the desire to fit in, right? That's what it is. So factors influencing peer pressure. Where does it come from? We know what it is now. Now we need to figure out where does it come from. During teenage years, fitting in is really about being accepted, right? And we have to be aware that is such a strong need. So the kids are looking to be accepted. If they are accepted in school, great. If they're accepted in church, great. If they're accepted in their family, great. If they're accepted everywhere, double great, triple great, right? That's what we need to strive for. But the fear of being left out is so strong because, guys, when you think about it, back then, cavemen, right? If you were cast out from the fire ring, you would die. It's something that's inside of us. It's something that no one can even control. So it's not like, oh, this is just a high modern new thing that is going on with all these teens. No, this is actually something that is ingrained in every single person. It's a need to fit in, because if you don't, you're going to be dead and eaten by lions, right? So another factor that influences this is the transition phase. In the transition phase, they are seeking the independence. They want to do things by themselves. They want to just be, don't talk to me about this, right? I mean, at least that's what I'm entering right now. Mom! Like, I get to hear all the time, or like, shh, I'm doing something, right? I mean, it's kind of like, and then you're like, what are you doing, honey? Nothing, right? I mean, it's almost like, so it's just normal behavior. It's just this, getting independent, and that is good. And what you can do is you can foster that independence in a positive way of giving them something they can be independent about that is still somewhat controlled by us. When we are not leading as parents, if we are not leading, that doesn't mean control or be the dominator at home, but leading, you have to have some leadership skills, right? If you are not leading, they're going to find leadership because that's what they're looking for. They're going to go to somebody else or look for somebody else that they're leading in that environment. There. All right, so the lack of experience is also a factor. Teenagers, especially the ones who are not being talked to a lot about consequences, they may just not know. And they just don't know what can happen if they are skipping the school, if they're going to engage in some kind of, extracurricular activities that we don't want to know about. And some kids just don't know. So, important. Curiosity is actually kind of fun one that creates peer pressure. They're naturally curious, which is a really good thing to be, right? But if we are curious about the wrong things, then that can be problematic. And again, here's like the leadership aspect from the parents, the leadership aspect from the church, from people, good environment. That is really helpful for this. Okay, so where did peer pressure show up in history? I was kind of curious to figure this out. And when you look at it in the Bible, right, Peter denies Jesus. I don't have to read where it's at, right? I mean, you guys know it. So when you think about it, after Jesus was arrested and taken to the high priest's house, Peter followed from the distance and sat among the crowd. A servant girl recognized, you guys know the story, right? Recognized him and denied him. Or, Jesus' disciples, but Peter denied it. Twice more, he got identified, and he also denied it. After the third denial, a rooster crowed, reminding Peter of Jesus' prophecy that Peter would deny him 3 more times before the rooster crows. The story highlights where the peer pressure is even in the Bible, even in Jesus' time, right? It's something that's been with us forever. Do you guys know, have you thought about peer pressure in your, do you deal with peer pressure a lot with your kid?
For me, it's more the girl feels it more than the boy because of their personality differences. And also she's younger, she's at a different stage of trying to find it, I think. I think when my son was in 6th grade, where all the middle school kids came together, it was COVID time. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't as much peer pressure. He's like, I have 11 kids in my class. So there wasn't as much that way.
Yeah.
But now it is harder to.
She's getting into middle school, right?
Yeah.
She's in middle school now.
Yeah. Changing. Yeah. This is for my district. This is when all of the elementary schools come together, and you might not be in class with your people you know.
Right.
So then you have to figure out how to make new friends. What do you want to do? Who do you want to sit with?
Exactly. Yeah. All those things. I talked to you a little bit, and I talked to you about it too. So when you think about it, Pontius Pilate also condemns Jesus to crucifixion. Pontius Pilate found no fault in Jesus and initially sought to release him. I didn't even know this. I had to look this up, and I'm like, wow, look at that. I mean, he wanted to release him. But the whole crowd was like, crucify him, there you go. And next thing you know, the crowd had to be appeased. That is peer pressure at its finest, right there. So it's really when individuals are yielding, and this will happen. If it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. Okay, it will happen. It's just that you guys see it's been in the Bible. It will happen everywhere. People are going to go, where kids are going to go. Schools, not schools. Private schools, not private schools. Public schools. You name it. I mean, literally, you cannot get away from it. It really needs this little extra thing. I don't know. Somebody probably laughing up there. Okay, so social media is a big part of our lives. I mean, we've known this, right? We've talked about this. We know social media is just what's happening. We cannot get away from it. What we need to do, however, is that we need to develop the skills that are required to highlight the positive effects, because social media is not only bad. Social media has really big advantages, and I'm going to get into this in a little bit. But it's we need to make sure that we can control the negative effects and just highlight the positive ones. Okay. So instead of getting fearful, we need to embrace it. And as Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by renewing your mind. And you can apply this to this. You can apply the fact that we don't need to conform to what everybody else is saying about social media, or what everybody else is saying like should be done or not be done, or we also need to teach our children that only because Johnny over here is going to do TikToks and dances over here does not mean we need to conform to it. We can make it in different ways, right? We can just do it in a different way. Okay, and the way we are going to accomplish that is actually becoming the leaders of our pack. I talk about this, all day long basically on social media when I teach my other people. I always talk about becoming the leader of a pack. And the reason for that is because I really truly believe that when the moms or the parents in general become leaders without being a dictator at home, but when they have listening skills and when they're trying to create win-win situations, and they're really trying to understand what's going on in the teen's life and in their mind, in what they are thinking about and what they're interested in and all these kind of things, you can create a path that bridges them together. What the parents need and want is safety for their children, right? We want them to be well-adjusted, we want them to strive, we want them to be great in school and becoming good society members, right? And they want independence, and they want to just experience the world and do all the things that everybody else does. So how can we bridge the gap? It's requiring a leader. I tell my girls all the time, because sometimes, and it's a struggle, okay? we all right? We struggle with it. It's like, I always tell them, it's like we are in a canoe and everybody is like rowing in a different way. I'm like, this does not work like this, friends. We are spinning our wheels all the time. I'm like, what we're gonna need to do is we need to figure out which way do we want to go. So the way how I do it, I say, Emily, right, what do you want to do? Lena, what do you want to do? Audrey, what do you want to do? Marty, what do you want to do? That's my family, just so you know. But, so I always ask what everybody has interest in and what they want to do. And then I say, okay, which way do we go first? And we all have to row in the same direction. So everyone gets their needs met, one way or another, but we have to row together, because if we don't, we just go like this. And what happens when we go like this? Mom is like, oh, I can't even take it anymore. What's happening? And then that's the worst end of that, right? We all know how that goes. Right? Or am I alone? Am I alone? All right, so types of social media. Really quickly, social networking sites. So we have networking sites, right? That's a difference. We have networking sites, which is Facebook and LinkedIn, and they are primarily for networking, for talking with people. And then we have media sharing networks, such as Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. So those are like where you really like just make pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so how do these platforms add to the peer pressure? So first of all, constant pressure on the children, right? Unlike the past generations, today's teens, they can be bombarded 24/7 all the time. Ding, 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 ding. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like turning my child's phone off every night, because all of a sudden it's like, ding. I'm like, whoops, I'm texting you at 10 o'clock at night, you should be in bed, right? And I tell her, by the way, just so you know, I tell her all the time, we don't have the phone on when we go to bed. And then the phone is on. Of course, we have to try to trust, the boundaries. That's what it is, right? But it can really add to feelings of needing to fit in and measure up. Because if this Johnny over here has 100 likes on his post, and this one has 0 likes, it's really wrong. Right? I know myself, like when I sometimes post something, you follow me on social, do you follow me on social? When you guys, when I post something and there's crickets, and I'm like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Why is nobody liking this? What's going on? That's how I was in the beginning. And now I'm like, I don't care anymore, because I am doing what I do, and it just gives me clues as to, oh, either you haven't seen it, or it's not your interest point, or, so I get data instead of making it be something about me. And the reason why that is because I get there with a purpose, right? I get there with a purpose. I use social media with a purpose. I don't consume social media. And that's what we need to get these kids to, that they don't consume social media only, but they're actually using it with a purpose of connection, for example. They can connect with others. Oh, that was too much. Where was I? Hang on. Okay, there we go. So, isn't that crazy?
Maybe you need to stand up there, like maybe it's the line of
I don't
sight.
want to stay. I'm like down here with you guys. So, curated lives is really a problem. How many people of you are on Instagram? Who's on Instagram? No? You're on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. Everybody looks so beautiful on Instagram. Everything is always filtered perfect. And I'm like, oh, how are they doing that? And, this is what our teams got going on. They are looking at it, showcasing curated and edited ideal versions of people's lives. It's not reality. People are posting their highlight reels. I have to share this. This was perfect. I saw a TikTok the other day about this family who was a husband, wife, and like little kids, right? And they're in the house and they're getting ready, and they're getting ready to go to church. And everybody's like, listen, why are you not listening? Come on, you don't have to shoes on. And everybody is like running, getting in the car, and they're like, everybody's fighting. And then the moment they go into the door, like they pull up to the parking lot, and the dad says to the mom, like, okay, people, we are in church now, and now we need to behave our best. And this family walks in the door, and this is a TikTok, right? This family walks in the door and says, hi, everybody. Calm, including the children. Now, okay, I have been guilty of this. I'm going to be the first one to admit, I have been guilty of the exact same thing, and that's why it was very, very funny. Because it's true. How many times are we trying to rush out the door and make something happen? And then we come, and then we're in church now, we gotta behave. Now, can you imagine you have this, we only have it on Sundays, right? But can you imagine these kids have this all the time? Because now they are looking at Johnny over here who knows how to use beautiful filters when he doesn't even know how to do it, right? That's really adding to the peer pressure. All right, fear of missing out, who knows what that is? FOMO, yes, we all know. Seeing the peers attend the parties, big one. Like as they get older later on, why did I not get invited? So-and-so got invited, why did I not get invited? Right? And that can really set up super big insecurities in kids. Not just in kids. I mean, let's get real. Like if I'm not invited to something, I'm like, why? Do I stink? What's happening? They don't like me. When in fact, oftentimes, maybe I was invited and I just missed the email, right? Or it's kind of like tonight, right? I mean, everybody is supposed to be here. It was supposed to be mandatory. Nobody even saw the email. Like now I could make this something about me. Like, oh, they didn't want me to talk. Maybe they didn't want to hear what I had to say, right? Or I can just say, you know what, they probably missed the email. Just like I miss like 500,000 emails that I have in my email. So the instant feedback loop is definitely an issue. And that is the ding, positive comments, influences their behaviors and their choices. If somebody thinks that what they do is cool, guess what? They're going to do more of that. And if somebody thinks what they're doing is really bad, guess what? They're going to do less of that, right? But who are they going to listen to? You have to think. They're not going to listen to the parents necessarily because they want to be individuals. So they are looking outside, and if we're not leading behind behind the scenes who they're going to hang out with and what kind of influence they are going to be with, we have zero control over who's going to tell our kid what's great and what's not. So it's really important to kind of like be dialed in there just a little bit and really work on that boat going together into a direction and not spinning all the time, because you know what, he probably capsizes and next thing you know he's like off on the island with his other friends partying, right? And here comes the really hard one, you guys, and it's gonna get worse, but here comes the really hard one. It's the cyberbullying. The online environment is really, really hard. And the reason why is because it's anonymously. They don't have to show their face. They don't have to look and say, hi, I'm Stephanie and I'm your friend. Right? They don't have to say that. They're just gonna post and say, I hate your guts. They're just gonna look at you and say something nasty. Right? And they're not gonna even feel bad about it. And that's where really there is an issue. And it's because it can get spread so fast. Kids, younger ones, okay, we have to talk to them and we have to tell them, don't take pictures of yourself. Because here's what's happening. Even if innocent pictures are being taken, next thing you know, they're going to be spread through a really wide audience. Boom, 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 seconds. These kids know how to do this. In seconds, it's going to be everywhere. And then they're going to have a big problem because it's there forever. Okay? It's there forever. So the only way how we can keep them safe in this aspect is we have to be sure that we tell them, we educate them, we satisfy that curiosity that the others are trying to do and our kids really crave. So if we don't give them the information, they're going to find the information from someone else, but God knows what they say, right? Okay, so it's really important. Pictures, even like, you know, Lena was just texting the other day with her friend. And I stood over there and I'm like, so, and she's like talking about innocent stuff, mermaids, I don't know, something. And he said to her, does your friend believe in mermaids too? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, just so you know, you have to be aware that whatever you say anywhere outside, especially on text, social media, reels, videos, pictures, anything, can be, and I tell my kids now, even my 6-year-old, who's like obviously not on social media, but she hears all of it, it's like, it can be spread very fast. So make sure you spread only the stuff that you want people to see, you know? Okay, so online trends and challenges, right? They have to be aware that what they are doing on there is permanent. Future employers are going to see that. Because employers are going to look at it and say, chick much? Like to get undressed on TikTok, right? I mean, there's some crazy stuff out there. I like to look at the cats videos. I think they're funny, cats and dogs, but you know, everybody's different. So yeah, it's risky, and we have to really we have to key in, and the best way to key in there is with talking to them, okay? So social media, negative effect, we've talked about it, right? Yes, we can go ahead and we can limit the screen time and encourage positive relationships, but we can only do that to so much extent. I mean, come on, if you're going to take their kids' phone away, they're going to hate you forever, right? Like your daughter said. It's like, no, you can't do that. But here's what you can do, is you can say, I'm going to limit this for a little bit, and we're going to put some game night in. On Friday night, we're going to have game night. On Saturday, we have this and this. On Sunday, we do this. If you have them buy into these activities that they get to say, you will have much bigger chances that they feel valued and that they feel like, hey, you know what, I get to decide. I love this. I get to decide. And so now they're in, right? Because that's how they do it. When you think about it, that's how they do it. They play some icebreaker games, which we did, and we should be like jumping up and down for a little bit. So it's like they play some icebreaker games, but they always have a say. We need to get that participation in from that. Okay, so social media has intensified peer pressure, but parents can help. So blah blah, that's what I just said. Okay, in Proverbs it says, "My son, sinful men entice you, do not give in to them." Okay, this is something that I talk about a lot too. People are doing what people want to do. I have zero control, nor does anyone else have control of what other people are doing. We only have control over what we do ourselves, which is our choices, right? When you talk about this with your kids, they are actually going to understand that there are people in school that have different values than they have. There are different sets of beliefs out there. And if you say, do not let other people influence, that's basically what that means. Don't let other people influence what you do, because you need to be solid in your own convictions. You have to not give in to what other people are doing. You gotta do what you want to do, what you really thought of, okay? So how do we go from here? How do we overcome this? It's really important to have that strong support system, right? That's what we just talked about. And I just started saying the values. The values is key, you guys. You have to have. And if you have not done that yet, which I didn't, before I started with all my mentorship training and all that stuff, I don't think I've ever thought about values. I don't even think I consciously had core values that I was living my life by. Neither was I aware of what I like to do for fun and all those other kind of things. Somehow we were children and then we grew up and we had all these responsibilities and we had all these things happening. And then what? We just live every day. We wake up, we go to bed. We wake up, we go to bed. We go, it's always the same. But we don't stop and think about it. But we must. In these times with the social media, see, they're all floating around. When you look at them, they're all floating around. Everybody's floating around. Everybody, no matter where you go, everybody sits there with a phone. They're not connecting with each other. They're not looking each other in the eye. They can't make eye contact anymore, right? And it's because it's not even valued anymore. So we need to be the leaders of our pack, right? And we need to figure out, first of all, and it starts in the adult level, what do we even want for our families? What kind of values do we really stand by? Yes, we have our Christian values, but what does that really mean for our family, right? I mean, we can all put this on the wall and say, yes, we want to have love and faith and all the things, but what does it really mean in our day-to-days? We got to think about this, and that's important, and it's important to talk with your family on that. You have to involve them. I love integrity. What do you think? I love when somebody is truthful to me. I like to hear people's opinions. Right? What do you think? Now, when you involve these kids, they feel so good. When they get a say in what they get to do, they feel so good. Now, when someone feels good, they want more of that. It's just natural. They want more of that, right? Okay, so values and having confidence is what it is. Proper guidance, open communication, trusted adults, that kind of thing. I mean, that's kind of why we're doing this. But real life consequences of peer pressure on social media. Okay, here comes the hard part, guys. You ready? Story of Ryan Halligan. Ryan was an American student from Vermont who took his own life at the age of 13 after being bullied by a classmate, both in person and online. Ryan's struggles began when he faced bullying to learning disabilities, which made him an easy target. As he grew older, he believed he had made friends with one of main bullies, who later spread rumors that Ryan was gay. This new rumor, combined with the previous bullying, led to relentless teasing online. Ryan was unaware that some of his online friends were saving those chat logs to share and mock. Tragically, the weight of the relentless bullying and peer pressure drove him to end his life. His story led to significant awareness campaigns about the dangers of cyberbullying. He thought somebody is your friend, right? The kids are not aware. We need to tell them. They are not aware that this is not your friend, possibly. So the skills of how to make friends have really gone to the wayside. See, I know Dana from church, but do I really know Dana? Does she really know me? Right? I don't know. No. She doesn't know how a PJ I sleep in at night. So, that's the thing. So we have to be aware, how do we even make friends? And after COVID, guys, I'm telling you, these kids do not know how to make friends. These kids are going to be so excited when somebody's talking to them, because now they're feeling seen. Now they're feeling connected. Now they're feeling like, wow, I'm liked. Boom, they're liking my social media posts. Ooh, that feels so great. But what they're not realizing is that Johnny over here does not really like the same things. I tell my kids all the time, we have to pay attention. Are you like oil or are you like water? Oil and water does not mix. See, I preach a lot on inclusive beings, right? I mean, inclusive all the time. You can't include, though, people who are mean or people who are not doing good for you. Then you don't need to include those people. You love them for who they are, but then you find your tribe. That piece is missed. You don't have to love everybody and be best buddies with them, because that best buddy might just not have your best interest at heart. And that's where the problems come in. So we have to teach the kids that yes, you need to love everybody, but it doesn't mean you have to be their best friend and tell them what PJ you're wearing, right? You be kind to everybody. That's what our Christian values are. We are loving and we are kind, and we are hoping that they're going to be better friends. But they have to kind of show a little bit that they are going to be better friends, right? They're going to have to show some values friendship really is. And when we remember, right? We remember what friends really should be like. Friends should be like coming together, being able to secretly and confidentially share stories. It should totally be okay to open up and say, I have a problem with my son, whatever, X, Y, and Z. Without me saying, really? Oh, hang on a second, I'm over here. Real quick, do you know? Right? You guys, but where do you earn that level of trust? And we have to teach that to the children. See, yes, you guys can trust me. I have to swear that I am a Stephen minister and I don't get to say anything about anybody. Nobody in Stephen ministry gets to say anything about anybody, right? Kathy doesn't even know. Like, nobody knows who we have, who we don't have, who we talk to, nobody knows. So, and that's out of a reason, because that's important. But that's the value that has to be taught. It's not automatically happening to kids.
Do you think that some of that is just their very short attention span? I feel like I see this with my kids. Somebody's not nice to them, and then, then this person, they were probably talked to by the school or whatever, based on the incident, and then this person is just being, I would say nicer, but they're just not saying the bad things, they're holding their tongue. And then my kids are like, well, they're nice now, I'll be their friend. And I'm like, hold on.
Right.
They're probably just not saying the bad stuff. That doesn't mean you're their friend.
Right.
And you can tolerate. I'm thinking, I'm trying to teach them, it means you're just tolerating each other.
Yeah.
But I don't wonder if some of this is just this 30-second, like, okay, we're mean to each other, we're friends. I just feel like everybody's moving too fast.
Too fast. It's too fast. Exactly. It's way, way too fast. There needs to be a category. The words are cheap. Actions are just much more. And I'll tell you a little story about myself. I am somebody who's an empath, and I love hugely big. But when I got onto social media, and it's still a little bit of a challenge these days, I don't like everybody's stuff all the time as I should, or if I want to, right? And it's because the volume of info is so much that with that little bit of time that I have on my phone, it's just sheer impossible to keep up with everybody. So some people maybe look at me and say, she never likes my style, right? It's like, but that doesn't say anything about me because I would literally give my last shirt for anyone. And anyone who knows me very closely, I'm still friends with my kindergarten friends from Germany, right? I mean, every week we are on the phone. Like, I am really like this person that literally will do everything and anything I possibly can. But on social media, sometimes I try my best. But on social media, sometimes I can't all the time. So we need to teach our kids in this scenario, like, hold up a second, you've got to watch these people a little bit, and you've got to see what action do they really put forth. You know, words are cheap. Like, I can talk about it, yeah, I'm a great friend, right, all the time. And then I never follow it up with action. But when you see, like, where do I serve, what do I do, how do I treat people, like, you know, then when you watch me for a little while, you see that my actions are probably more than what I even talk about, you know? And that's what we need to teach the children, like, where it comes back to the values, right? What's integrity? What do we want to see for our, and so you can define, for example, what values should a friend have? And now we're gonna look for those, right? It's important to talk about. And I feel like we don't talk about it enough, right? We just don't make it a topic. We're busy, and I'm going to get to those soon. But okay, so we have Phoebe here.
I had the same kind of discussion with my daughter. Like, you can still be friendly, and you can still play with them at school and get along with them, but they don't have to be your best friend.
Right.
You don't have to tell everybody your secrets, even if they're trying to pressure you. Like, just tell me your crush. That's a big one. Just tell me your crush. Tell me this. Tell me that. And I feel like with my son, he's like, if the kid plays basketball with me at school, then we're friends. But it doesn't mean it's a deep friendship.
Right.
You know, so I think it's part of us teaching the kids, like, that it's not just on or off switch. There's levels of friendship. And
that's a good way to say it. Yes, there's levels. Right. Right.
8-year-old is so friendly, so social, and he says that he is my friend, and he talks to everything to everybody, but then I have to limit it.
Yeah.
Not be your be your best. You have to,
Right.
find
Right.
out who is a friend, who is a good friend, who is a best friend, who's the
Right. And they have to earn this, you know. Friendships have to be earned. You know, it's kind of like when I first started my mentorship business, right? I'm in my coaching business, and I do group mentorships for online entrepreneurs also. And when I did that, I was like, oh, let me help everybody, and my mentor said, no, you do not want to help everybody. And I'm like, why? But I like helping everybody. And they said, no, the person who needs to be mentored needs to prove to you that they actually are worth your time. And I'm like, what, my time? So here, note this, it's the lack of confidence, right? When I first started, I'm like, wait a minute, but I just want to help everybody. Do I really want to help everybody, or do I just it's something I was trained? I was not, as a child, I was not trained to put my needs in first. We were a foster family. I was treated, I was the okay one. I was the healthy one. I was the real daughter. Everybody else, I was the stable. Everybody else was the one that needed more attention. So growing up, I had learned that I was not to be valued, which is not what my parents wanted to do. That's not seeing, this is where we have to really be understanding. They didn't mean to tell me, you're not worth anything, Stephanie. We don't love you. That's not what they wanted to do. But they had an agenda, they had a business to run. I mean, that fostering people is a business too, right? They had a business to run, they had to make sure that everything was running smooth. And I was just over here. But the belief that I had formed inside of my brain was I wasn't worth anything, and then it came all the way through life, right? And when we look at our children, and we have to take a really hard look at ourselves, and we have to take a look at what is going on in our life. How do we show up, and how do we value them, and do we really, right? And it's a hard thing to do, guys. That reflection of looking in the mirror and saying, oopsie, maybe I'm not paying really really good attention, maybe I should do a little bit more. But again, wrap yourself in like a grace, right? I mean, Jesus forgives everybody, we're great. So, alright, so Phoebe here, just quickly, Phoebe romantic relationship with with boys at her school triggered intense jealousy from some female students. These students tormented Phoebe both in person and online with derogatory comments, taunts, and threats. The daily torment and isolation she felt due to the peer pressure and bullying culminated in tragic decision to end her life. Now, guys, when I'm reading this, right, I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. Why is someone so vulnerable when it comes to derogatory? Like, if Dana says something, you suck. I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry. How can I help you better? Or how can I change? And I'm totally okay if you guys all write in there that sucks. Like, I think you went, like, this was not on topic, right? You write it all down. Because I want that feedback, because you know what? I know that I'm gonna grow from this. I know that whatever it is, my purpose here is to bring value. That's my only purpose here, to bring value. To share what I know with others to bring value. And if I'm not providing value, I must know, right? In this case, where is her self-confidence? Where is her being okay as she is, even if somebody doesn't like her? I saw the TikToks. You don't like me? Oh, have you guys seen that? I shouldn't put it on. But it's funny. It's funny. It's like they are highlighting this fact that you should not really care if somebody doesn't like you. You should love them, and you should still be okay. It's not the end of the world to us. If somebody doesn't like us, we are not going to die, right? And we need to instill this in our children. They need to be okay. They need to know that they are okay so that they can withstand situations like this. Isolation. Why is she isolated? Where is her family? Where is her mom? Right? We need to have this relationship. We have to have the strategies to dealing, with them. We have to communicate openly. We have to encourage our children to make those decisions, but also stand on by themselves. Right? Okay. We have just a little bit dance move. Come on, get up for a second. Like shake. If you guys are getting stiff, I'm talking a long time. Okay, meat and potatoes, here we go. Build confidence, right? That's the way how we need to do it, right? It's one thing, we know the problems, we know what's going on. What can we really do about it? We need to build confidence in our children. That is how they're gonna get strong. That is how they're going to be resilient. That is how they're going to get through the hate and the comments and the isolation and all that stuff. If they are confident in who they are and who they stand for, they will be okay. It doesn't matter what scenario, they will be okay. If they learn that they can find resources in other people that are here in Velocity, for example, people that are their family, people that are friends that they have really valued and figured out, they're gonna be okay. And that's where the meat and potatoes is. We can get distracted with trying this strategy, we can try this, we can, it all boils down to confidence. If someone is confident, they can make a change, right? So, set achieving goals. Setting small, realistic goals allows a sense of accomplishment when they meet. Celebrate these successes, no matter how minor they may seem. That's very challenging, I feel like, as an adult, right? It's like we want them to leap when they only walk this way. But the way how you do it is when you sit with them and say, what are we focusing on this week? What is our intention this week? What do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish? I tell my kids, because sometimes they're like, oh, Mom, you're so high strong. And I am. I really am. I like high performing. But, my kids may not, right? Other people may not. And for them, I say, you know what, your goal can be to lounge on the couch this weekend. What do we need to do to get that done? That can be a goal. It doesn't have to be stressful goals. No, the goal can be finish all your chores, do all your homework, practice what you need to do, and then launch around on weekends. Right? It's all the perspective. All right, positive self-talk. We have to encourage them to talk positively about themselves. And you know what, guys? I hate to tell you, it starts with yourselves. How many times do you think, I suck? I'm not good at that. I don't know about this. How many times do we have insecurities? Most of the time we don't even realize it. Like I went 30 years of my life without remembering what kind of hobbies I had. What did set my soul on fire? What did I want to do? I mean, I had crazy dreams of like wanting to be like a Tony Robbins, but now I'm standing here and it's fun, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, that's a step, right? Obviously I'm not having like an arena full of people, but it's a step. It's fun. But if I wouldn't try it, I wouldn't even know, okay? And this is the thing. We don't have the dialogue to even try things. That's where it starts. So we have to identify, what do we want? What's our goal? What's preventing us from making that happen? And chances are, when you really think about it, chances are, it's going to be confidence. It's going to be like, I don't think I can do that. Do you guys know that public speaking is number one fear of people? And here I am, I'm like, yes, let's do this. It's exciting, right? Who would have known that I thought it was exciting? But I had to try. Pastor John apparently, I'm surprised he actually let me up here. Because did you guys remember that when I pushed him on the thing? Like, I literally, do you know this story? Were you guys here? Okay, so, listen, I said I wanted to speak, right? I told my husband that. And so he said, hey, they don't have a speaker. They don't have anybody reading those verses. You need to do it, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to come up there, I'm going to do it. And I was nervous. So I had to go up there. And so I go up there, and he said, it's fine, just read this. So I read the verse, everything was fine, and then it says on the bottom, please stand for the reading of the gospel if you're able. Well, I forgot to read this, okay? I was so excited that I got without fault through the verse, and so I just made my way down, and Pastor John was already coming up, and I, in this moment, remembered and that, I was supposed to read something else. So I turned around in my Germanness, and I just pushed that aside. And he was like, excuse me. And I said, I'm sorry, I forgot to read this over here. So, I'm kind of surprised he let me up here, but okay. So, negative self-talk, it was me in a car sweating like, can I read this verse? I think I can read this, maybe I don't think I can. There's going to be a lot of people. It's negative self-talk, right? And now you have to just identify it. And when you identify it, you can change it. That's the key. Like once you know, you can change it. Okay, I better hurry up. It's already weekend. Okay, so avoid comparison. Comparison is the thief of all joy. I don't know if you guys know that. But hear that if you don't take anything away from tonight, remember comparison is the thief of every joy that you have. If you are on social media and you're comparing yourself and your life with somebody else, you don't know that there's maybe the highlight reel, unless they're like me, who share pretty much almost everything and talk about it all the time. But I do it out of full purpose because I want people to see vulnerability. I want them to see that real life matters. I want them to see that you don't need to hide behind a camera if you feel good inside of you. That's the purpose. I don't need to have 1,000 filters on it. I am pretty with my little wrinkles that are coming out. Right? But I mean, it's not so much what I say, it's the fact of what I talk about. And I want to encourage others to do the same thing. We need to do that, right? We need to let our teens know that they are beautiful, and we need to help them identify what are they beautiful in. What do they think they are good at? If they don't think they are good at something, hey, let's get curious about, let's try something. What resources could we find to try? Guys, when my mentor had asked me, what are your hobbies? What are content pillars that you want to address with your business? I was in tears. I was in tears. I could not write one thing. And then I felt shame, and I thought, why do I not know anything? Who am I even? I don't even know who I am. I'm like 47 years old. Who am I? I didn't remember what I liked to do. It was awful. Think about it. This is what our kids are going through, right? They are going through this. Some of them don't know. Yes, we're putting them in sports. Yes, we are putting them here. We are having extracurricular because we have our agendas. We have our agendas. We want to set them up straight for life. We know our, do we ask them? What do they really want to do? Maybe they don't want to do that. It's really tricky, right? I see it with my kid, sport. She swims, soccer, right? We have a swimmer, we have a soccer player. My soccer player, she wanted to quit. And I'm like, but if you don't do this now, you're never going to make a high school team. So it's like, it was the conflict. Do I let her quit? Do I not let her quit? Right? I was really tormented by this. What was I going to do? She hated going to practice every single time. And I felt terrible about it, but I also know that if she doesn't play now, she will never have a chance in high school to even get into a team. I knew that, right? So what did I do? I asked questions. What is it that you don't like? Let's sit with this for a minute. You guys know what it was? She couldn't connect with the children on the team. She didn't know anybody, and they weren't talking to each other. So you know what I did? I did a party. I created a party. I said, you know what, that's it, I can do this. I invited the entire soccer team, and we did a team building event. And I made them play games, and I made them do icebreaker questions, and I taught them how to be friends. And guess what happened? They all went, and they all got super excited, and they got it all done. Right? Played fabulous together. And now she loves soccer. She loves soccer. So it's all about talking, right? Finding out, be curious. Have that conversation and get them to be curious about their own lives so that they can build that confidence. Because when someone is happy with what they do, and when they're good at it, when they have enough practice, they're building that confidence. Okay, so avoid the comparison. We had that. It was double action. There. Develop the social skills. This is what I did with that team party. Okay? These kids did not know. Guys, we assume they know. We assume. We assume they know social skills. We assume that they learn that in school or that they automatically do this. No, they don't. Okay? People do what they're exposed to. I am bilingual, and I have that discussion with my school all the time. My kids will not learn English unless I teach them or I find somebody who teaches them. Now they're reading, so it becomes a little bit easier because they can read books and learn language through that. But they would refer to things as this and that and thingy, because that's what I would say. I'm like, I don't know what this is. It's a thing. It's a thingy over here. And everybody would understand me, but that's how my kids spoke. So, if you don't expose them to the stuff, if you don't let them have that opportunity, they won't learn it, right? So you have to teach them, develop the social skills if you realize that they are struggling with that. Some not super great. So communication techniques, active listening, obviously, right? We know and I get it, it's hard, right? But we need to really sit there and try to understand them. What is their point of view? What are they thinking? What is their beliefs on this world? We have to just make that effort. Oh, wait. We talk too much. Come on. There. Does that look familiar, guys? That's us. Us moms with the sports schedules and all the things, right? And we struggle a little bit with perfectionism, and we have shadows that are following us, and we have stress, and we have empty glasses, or glasses that don't want to have confrontations. Right? What areas do we need to grow? We always look at situations and say, can you grow? Please. But we don't want to grow because we're perfect, are we? No, we have a lot of shame, guys. I mean, we have a lot of shame. We have a lot of shame. We don't want to take a look at it. We have a lot of paradigms that we are dealing with. And there you go. Peter, 5:8. Be alert and sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Right? Be self-controlled and alert. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around. When you, so I know, looking is a long time, sorry. But when you think about this, we have to be alert and we have to be of sober mind. That means we need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves first and foremost. We have to take care of ourselves and then we can take care of them and help them, okay? We cannot help them if we don't do that. So, find power and security in values. That's what we talked a little bit over already before. Courage and boldness, having the courage to stand up for one's beliefs even when they go against the majority is really crucial. Okay? If a family unit is clear on what they stand for and the kids are bought in, they have a buy-in, they're not just being told like you need to do this, that, blah, blah, blah. Right? If they decided this too, I mean, yes, when they're little, we have to decide for them. But when they get a little bit older, we can maybe have some discussion on what do we want to do? What do we want to stand for as a family? Right? What kind of values are we wanting to have? How do we want to treat people? What fun things do we want to do as a family? All those kind of questions. Let's go. I have 10 minutes left. It says you talked enough. Okay, very quickly, practical steps to counteract peer pressure. Clarity. Number one, clarity. Clarity on the core family values. Insecurities need to be identified. Where are we having issues? Where does the kids have issues? Where does the husband, the wife, the kids, everybody has insecurities? Where is it? And where can we strengthen that with confidence? Because it boils down to confidence of everything. When we're being told nasty things, if we feel confident and strong and supported and secure, it doesn't bother us. It's not going to bother me if somebody online that I don't even know tells me, I don't like what you're doing. I'm going to be like, okay, go somewhere else. Because I like what I'm doing. That's all that matters. When we're dead, guys, what are we taking with us? Those people's opinions? No. We're only going to take with the relationships we are establishing in our own families, within our own selves, the memories that we've created. That's what we're taking with, nothing else. Okay, social skills, building a strong network. Yes, we agree on that. We all need, it's always easier when you have people that like you than people who don't like you. And creating a communication plan to handle the emergencies. So what is an emergency? An emergency is when, we had a fallout. How can we come together? How can we bridge that gap? How can we say every Sunday we're going to have a quick meeting with the family to figure out how the next week is going to go, what is important for you, what is your intentions, what would you like to focus on within the next week? Right? And we all know that no matter how much we fought, we're going to come back together Sunday afternoon, so whatever, Friday night. So, you pick whatever works for your family, something. Right? But create a communication plan. Now, we need to gain their trust, okay? Because if we don't have trust with the children, remember that girl's example? Why was she isolated? It's probably because she didn't want to tell her parents what was going on, right? So she felt isolated. So how can we create trust? That is so important. Okay, and I know it's so hard. It's hard, guys. It's really hard, but it's important that we try. We have to listen actively. We have to pay full attention when they talk. If we can't do it because it's super busy at that time, or they're like, oh, they love to talk when you don't have time. Like, that's just what it is, right? They don't, I mean, maybe it's just my kids, but mine always want to talk when I'm busy. What I tell them is like, can we talk later? And then we make a time. And then I will commit to being there at that time. We have to keep our promises. We have to admit that we make mistakes. Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm your friend. Hi, my name is Mom, and I am your friend, and I am also not doing great sometimes. You know? I mean, it is what it is. We have to just be honest with them. They're humans. Like, sometimes I feel like parents forget that kids are humans. And we need to just remember that. And we can say, when they have nasty attitudes, we can say, hey, listen, I understand that you're not really showing up really great right now, but I'm not liking this, so can we just find a different way? But we also have to do the same thing, because how many times do we not show up great and then somehow okay, right? And I know, you know, it's all me too. I'm not different than anyone else, even though I know all this stuff. It's the difference between talking about it and actually doing it, but we can try. And if we pray about it, we think about it every single day and say, you know what, I'm gonna try. We are setting the intentions. That's only what a human can do. We're not Jesus. We're not perfect. We don't know all these things. Like, we can try, though. And if we can instill that in our kids, that it's okay to just try. We don't have to be perfect. Nobody has to be perfect. We can try. And if we make mistakes, we own them. That builds confidence, guys, right? Okay, respect the privacy. Hard one, hard bridge to get, okay? We do have to have privacy, because if they don't feel like they can do any of this stuff, then they will find different ways, guys. They will find different ways, let me tell you, right? They will definitely find ways. They will encrypt things. They will they're so smart with social media, it's like insane. You won't even know. You're sitting all cozy in your chair thinking, yeah, I got like this child protection lock on, and then they're gonna be having this whole different website that they're playing, there's apps that pretend certain, you name it. Okay, the way how you avoid this, to even be endangered with those apps, is when you create respect with them, okay? If you let them see certain privacy, if you let them have certain privacy, let them have a journal that they can lock, that you don't look at. Let them write, lock it. I'm not looking at it, right? There are certain things you have to have some ground rules, but you've got to respect their boundaries. Simple things, knocking before entering. It's respect. We want that from them. We need to give it to them too. Private messages, of course, we have to pay attention to see who are they talking to and what are they talking and communicating to us, and that's fine. If they're now becoming secretly, okay, well maybe then we can have the ground rule and say, if you are too secretive and I have to take a look, then I can't trust you anymore. Boils back down to what is our family core value, right? That has to be communicated all the time, and you can make references to them. You can say, listen, if you're not, are you not agreeing with that core value anymore? Because it almost feels to me, and you guys can say I statements, right? You can say to your team, it feels to me like you're not valuing this anymore. Do I see that accurately? And then they're gonna say, oh, I wasn't even aware that I did that. See, we think they do this on purpose, but in fact, they just don't know. They just don't know. Establish open communication, right? It's really important. Okay. Did I just skip one? I think I did. Oh my God. Okay, establish the communication. Make sure your team knows that they can talk to you about anything without the fear of unjust punishment or judgment. Hi, I'm Mom and I'm your friend. And you know what? Even if you're at a party and you're drunk as a skunk, I will always pick you up, no matter what. You just call me. And guys, my kids are 12, 9, and 6, and I tell them that every day almost. Just because I want to make sure that they know. I won't ask them questions. I just want them to call me. Right? That's just what it is. I want them to call me. We can deal with whatever is coming up later. When they're older, it's almost too late. You have to keep doing it. You have to do it all the time. So if you haven't done any of this yet, do it now. Right? Do it now. If they don't talk to you, by the way, I don't know, you're a little older than, how old is your son? Sophomore, okay. Yeah, and yours are older too, right? Sophomore, and you? Sophomore, yeah. Sometimes they already don't want to talk to you anymore. Here's, right? So here's what you can do. You can write notes back and forth. Or you can have a journal, like a daily journal that you say, you write in something and then you slip it into their room. And then they maybe can encourage them to write back. How was your day? What did you love today? High, lows, I play this all the time. What's your high today? What's your low today? Simple things. When you have multiple children, it can get really tricky to listen to all of them because everybody wants to talk at the same time. Talking sticks work wonders. I grab whatever, salt shaker, and I say, you have the salt, now you get to talk. And then everybody has to be quiet for the one to talk. And vice versa. I mean, really, and it works because it shows them respect. I can see them grow 5 inches when they're like, I got the salt, I get to do it. It's amazing. It's craziness. Okay, so involve them into decisions and be empathetic was before. So set boundaries and be consistent, right? So boundaries is the ground rules. Remember the story of the boat. Don't tip. We have to have rules. The rules is we need to all row in the same direction. Everybody gets to have a say on where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. Everyone's opinion. See, a good leader, if I want you guys to become the leaders of your families, doesn't mean, I'm not saying that the husbands can't be the leaders too. You know what I mean, right? I always have to say it, but somebody has to call the shots and someone has to lead that on. So if he wants to do it, great, but I don't see any men here. So, it's just what it is. You have to be clear about it. What do we want to do and what's gonna happen if we don't do it? The boat is gonna tip and everybody's gonna be miserable, right? So let's just all figure out what we want to get to. Educate rather than dictate. Educate, always educate. I mean, my kids are probably like, Mom, stop talking. Because I talk a little too much, but when I grew up, they never told me why. And it hurt. I have to be honest, it hurts. I was like, what is wrong with me? I always thought it was wrong with me because I thought, why am I not worth that they tell me that information? I mean, kids can see it this way or that way. And when we don't talk about it, we don't know. Do you want to know? Do you not want to know? Sometimes I just have to write it on the board and say there. And now my new thing is everybody gets 25 cents for doing certain things. It looks like a charm. They're all money motivated. Okay, so spend quality time together. Again, fosters. This fosters bonding and trust. Have open conversations. Ask them their opinion. They're gonna love you for it. They're gonna talk. Okay, ask the opinions, if you wanted to decide, breaking trust. Yeah, so avoid breaking the trust, encourage independence, and seek their feedback. Yeah, just take pictures because I feel like we talked about all of that. Trust building is a continuous process, right? It works both ways. So if we miss their trust, and if we mess up their trust and they mess up our trust, both parties lose. And what we want to create is a win-win and a win, right? The parents win, the children win, and everyone who comes in contact with us will also win. And one of the things when you think about it, it's like champagne flutes, the champagne tower. If you put on the top, if you put one drop of red dye in it, what's going to happen? it's gonna taint every single thing that comes in contact with it. And that's the same thing with this stuff. So we need to train up our children the way she should go, even when he is old, well, he will not depart from it. So when we set what we really stand for with clarity, they are going to go after. I gotta hurry up. So, okay, so lead off the pack, we talked about it, right? You must interrupt that pattern. You have to interrupt it. You have to become aware for yourself. Where are you falling short on this whole thing? You have to take responsibility. I hate to break it to you. You have to take responsibility to be the leader because they just won't. Okay? But they will then eventually be the leader. So this is really paradigms, guys. I touched on that a little bit earlier, and I'm going to dive into that deeper when we talk about anger and all those kind of things in the next session. But look at this, right? Our kids are going to do what we do. That's a pretty shocking picture, isn't it? Like, I saw it and I'm like, it's perfect, because it's really also eye-opening as to what we do on a daily basis is what they are going to do. So we kind of need to be the leader of our pack. We need to figure it out. We need to say no to what we don't like about our lives and fix that, and then we need to help them make their choices also. Okay? So we got to be aware of those patterns. We talked about that. All right, win, 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 and again, more win. That's what we want to do. Now, really quickly to finish this off, the positive effects of social media is that it's connecting people across the world. It's increasing access and information and resources. So whatever you don't know, ChatGPT, type it in. You say, hey, what are my hobbies? What do I like to do? It's probably going to give you an answer. And you might not like it, and you might like it, and you can just use this as a tool to be curious about it, right? Just be curious and see, maybe I don't like it, try something. Provides a platform for self-expression and creativity. I love making TikToks. Now, I don't dance on it really, like sometimes. But I love making TikToks because they let me be creative. We have to think sometimes, when we think about we need to make sure they are not consuming all the time. Let them be creators. There are TikToks of Christian children who make the funniest content on Christian values. It's amazing what they do. It's amazing. So it can all have this. So now, finishing up, right? As much as we want social media to go away, we just must be aware of the advantages, especially in higher societies, right? We have to understand that those are big tools that we can use, right? Networking, educational resources, cultural awareness, development of technical skills, creative outlets, access to global opportunities, guys. I mean, how many times, like I have people all over the world listening and watching these things. Think about the chances and opportunities these guys can have if they have the confidence to withstand, if they have the trust, if they know where they belong, if they have the right values. They're going to be able to just use this. Building a personal brand right now. What do you stand for? A personal brand is basically, who are you at your core? Now, when you think future, you want them to have a good job, right? You want them to grow up to be people that have fabulous jobs. How are we going to do that? Well, build a personal brand. What do you stand for? What's your mission, vision, and values? Create content based on that. Don't float with like everybody else. Just do it intentionally. So then you're not going to be the bad guy, because they're not going to say like, well, you do your thing. No, you encourage them to do proper content that has mission, vision, and values. Their brand. Who are they? What do we stand for? Right? Collaboration, obviously, and entrepreneurship. I mean, it's like craziness how much people can do. It's hard to read. So the conclusion is, it's really important to find one's identity in Christ rather than social or societal standards. Like, where do we root? Where's our roots? Right? It's important to have strong values, the trust, the community. And it's super important to find the joy, passion, and with that comes purpose. Because when you look at the human needs pyramid, that's what's all on there. Accidentally pressed it. All right, Jeremiah, I'm going to close it out. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope and future. This verse emphasizes God's sovereign plan for each individual, assuring that He has a specific and meaningful purpose for everyone. The leader of the pack is going to help our child and our children to find out what their purpose is. What is their God-given gifts? And how can we use them in today's world is the key. And when you have that, they will not only have fun doing it, which fun creates confidence, right? They will also learn technology that will help them later on, and they will have the trust with you. And they will be able to talk to you about what's going on. Because you're encouraging them to do good. You're encouraging them to use the tools. You're not always saying bad. You're not, that's shame. We don't want to shame. We want to try to encourage and lead into a more productive way. Win-win-win. Questions? Man, it's like 8:38. All right, thank you guys. Oops, for your time. I don't know why this shows up weird on there. So if anyone, you guys have the feedback things, if you have filled this out or not. If you need to get in touch with me, obviously you know where I go to church.